Okay, I'm going to get started. My name is Jamie Copes. I'm a tutor training and digital literacy project manager at Wisconsin Literacy. Digital Tools for Teaching is a monthly series that I try to run, and I pick a new topic or a new digital tool each month. So this month we have digital tools for listening, speaking, and reading fluency. And just before we get started, I want to let you know that if you're attending this right now on Zoom, you will receive an email afterwards with a handout. So all the tools that I mentioned today and all the information, you'll get links to that in the handout. And you all had to agree that this was being recorded, so you know it's being recorded. If you're watching the video of this, the handout that I mentioned will be linked in the description of the video. All right, so our agenda, what do I hope to accomplish today? I'm going to introduce to you 5 tools that I think are valuable for teaching, listening, speaking, and reading fluency. But first, I just want to give you my rationale. Why did I pick these tools? Then we'll go over those tools, and with each one, I'm going to give you a description of the features, a quick demo, and then open it up to you all to brainstorm applications. How do you see using this with learners? And I have Q&A at the end, but if at any time if you have questions, please feel free to jump in or to put them in chat, and I will try to address them as I see them. All right, so I selected 5 tools, like I mentioned, to show you today. And my criteria were really that I was looking for tools that would help you create authentic oral communication tasks for learners. So this could be things like giving and receiving instructions, giving and receiving feedback, greeting or welcoming, storytelling, and reading aloud. I also selected tools that encourage students to be the content creators. So I think a lot of times as instructors, we use digital tools, or when we use them, we envision our learners being the receivers of the content, but we also want to create opportunities where they are creating content and being able to tell their own story. And my last criteria here was that these tools will help teach transferable skills. So if they learn a digital skill using one of these tools, chances are that they're going to be able to transfer it to a different platform or a different tool. And that kind of loops back to those authentic oral communication tasks. We rely so heavily on the internet and just digital tools in general in our lives. So if we're thinking about how do we communicate orally using digital tools, we're automatically going to teach skills that transfer when we make sure that those tasks are authentic. My very last criteria for selecting tools for anything I do in this series is the cost. I need it to be free or a version of free for you. So these are the 5 tools that I'll talk about today. Vocaroo is free, WhatsApp is free, Padlet is free, but you're limited to 3 Padlets. You can delete Padlets to stay within the limit. Loom is free. You are limited to creating 25 minutes, and each of those 25 videos, excuse me, and each of those videos can be only 5 minutes long. And then Google Read Along is also free. Now that I've named the 5 tools, is anybody familiar with any of these? Have you heard of them before? Have you used them before?
I've used WhatsApp just for texting.
Okay.
I use WhatsApp for texting as well.
Thanks.
I've seen Padlet, but I don't recall examples yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I've used WhatsApp for texting as well as overseas calls.
Great. Oh, and I see in the chat WhatsApp and Padlet. All right. Wonderful. So the others might be new, or maybe just thinking about them in how to use them in a listening and speaking context might be new as well. So let's jump in. I'll talk about Vocaroo first. Vocaroo is just an online site. You'll have a link to it in the handout that I mentioned. It is an online voice recorder, so it lets users record, share, and download voice messages. And one of the things I love about it is it's super easy to use. So when you go to the site, vocaroo.com, this is what you're going to see. The rest of the page is like white. So it's really easy to just see, like, here's the record button. And you click that record button and you speak into it. You do not need an account. And you can then, once you've created the recording, you can share those recordings. So you can share it via a link, via a QR code. And the recordings get deleted eventually. So they don't live on the Vocaroo website forever. And so you do need to know that if you're planning activities and you end up using the QR codes and then like months from now, the QR code stops working, that's probably what happened. They're a little bit fuzzy about how long they last when you go to their frequently asked questions. So they say between 3 and 12 months is how long they keep a recording around. And I think how frequently the recording is accessed determines how long they keep it around. So if you've got a link that people are using frequently, they'll probably keep it for a longer time. So like I said, you would push record here. You would speak into your, if you're using on your phone, you speak into your phone's microphone or your computer's microphone, and then you click done. And after that, you're going to see on the right here an image that looks like this. So you can choose to delete it right away. After you play it back, you're like, nope, I don't like that. I'm going to try again. You can download it as a file, so you would have that audio file forever. You can embed it into a website if that's something you're interested in, or here's where you get the QR code, as well as just the link here that you could share with learners. If you would like to test it out, I created a recording. So if you have a phone nearby that you're not using for this call and you want to scan this QR code, you can listen to my recording. Otherwise, I will also share this link in the chat if you want to try that. So the link's in the chat. If you'd like to listen to this recording on your own, when you open it up, you'll see this play button and you just hit play. You should be able to hear me speaking. I'm sorry, I'll go back to the QR code as well in case people want to use that.
Yeah, I use a QR code and got your message. It's very clear and loud.
Great, thanks for the feedback, Paul.
Yeah.
All right, I see in the chat too that others were successful. Mary, your question, how many minutes are allowed in one video? Are you talking about a different tool or are you talking about Vocaroo?
Vocaroo.
Okay, so one recording, I remember looking at their frequently asked questions. I think they said 6 hours. Like you could create a 6 hour long
Oh
recording.
my gosh.
I
So it
have
could-
not tried that.
So it could be a short passage. It doesn't have to be just like a set of directions or a set of something.
Right, exactly. That's a great idea for it. There is a spot too. I'll show you. Let's do it this way. If you can see here, that's very tiny under that little robot, it says upload. So if you have your own audio, you can actually, instead of speaking into this recorder, if you have a sound file already, you can upload it here, and that would be a quick way to create a link or a QR code to your audio file. They do warn you, see here, about copyright laws. So you should not upload copyrighted music or anything else copyrighted if you're going to use that option. This would only be useful if students have either a phone or a computer, correct? Yes. So that is one of the points I want to make here, is that part of the value, I think, in using these digital tools is that it's teaching our learners digital skills as well. But they would need to have a device in order to access these recordings. One of the coolest ways or most creative ways that I've seen Vocaroo used is like a scavenger hunt. So there were just QR codes around the room, and students would have to go and scan those QR codes with their phone and listen to the clue, and then they'd have to find the object or answer the question. Any other ways you can think about how you would use Vocaroo? I think sometimes it might be nice, you know, if you have a worksheet or something like that and you want to provide oral instructions as well, you could just put a QR code on there, and students could listen to the oral instructions.
What about some type of homework that they could refresh on afterwards?
Paul, did you have an idea? I see that you've unmuted.
Just from a pronunciation standpoint, because a lot of times, well, I've only covered for one instructor, but I had concern that that because it was a pronunciation that it would be I wasn't concerned, but I thought it'd be very helpful to have a recording that the student would be able to refer back to.
Yeah, just that reinforcement of pronunciation. It's a great idea. And again, remember that one of my criteria for selecting these tools is that eventually we want to help learners create their own content. And because this is so easy to use, you can have students go to vocaroo.com, click record, say something, and then send you the link so that you can listen to them. All right, I'm going to move on to the next tool, but if you have other questions about Vocaroo, let me know in the chat. So the next tool is WhatsApp, and I know a lot of people already said that they're pretty familiar with this. It is a free instant messaging app available on smartphones, tablets, and computers. Students from other countries are usually very familiar with this app. So that could be a benefit, particularly if you teach English learners. It does require an account that's linked to a phone number. It works on Wi-Fi, so it doesn't require cellular data. It allows you, a lot of you said you use it to send text messages, so messages in print, but you can also send voice messages and video messages. And the way you do that is just, instead of typing in the box here, you're going to click on the camera and the microphone icon, and then it will give you an option to send a video or a voice message. So I'll show you that. One of the ways that I've used it is to teach idioms or idiomatic expressions. So I like to send a picture to students. This one I use the expression spring fever. And my picture has a caption. So tell me what you see in this picture and what do you think spring fever means? And then I ask, and this is something I would have to teach beforehand, but I ask for them to send me back a voice message. So don't type out what you see, but tell me what you see with a voice recording. And so WhatsApp allows you to do that with, you can see on the bottom here, video, photo, and a video note. A video note is more like just a short video, or sorry, a voice message, but I can also see their face here. So it just puts it in a nice little round bubble like that. They click record and then they click send. Another use of it might be just like a welcome video if they're starting your class or you haven't met them yet. And this would be an opportunity to use video instead of video note, but you can see I can also put captions or text over my video. So this is a welcome to our class video. In the handout I'll provide you, there's a link under the WhatsApp section with an article about a teacher who used WhatsApp for a conversation circle. So that's another use as well. If people can't all get together in the same room at the same time for conversation circles, you could use WhatsApp as a video calling to have a conversation circle that way. Or you could sort of do it as an asynchronous conversation circle. So somebody sends a voice message or a quick video note like this, and then somebody replies on the same chat.
Jamie, do you know if there's a maximum number of participants in one chat?
That is something I don't know, Mary Kay. That's a good question. And I can look that up and send you the answer in the email. I'm seeing in the chat too, can you use it on a phone? Sorry, can you use it on a computer or does it have to be a phone? There is a desktop version of WhatsApp, so you could use it on a computer. Good questions. Any other questions or ideas of how you might use WhatsApp for speaking or listening?
Could you go back and show us with that one screen where you could pick what you wanted to do, whether it was a voice message or video?
Yeah.
Where'd you?
Oops. So normally I would just type right in this box here if I was going to send a text message, but instead I would click on the camera icon or the speaker icon, and that's where I'll get the options to send a voice memo or a video note.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions or ideas? All right, if not, I'm going to go on to the third tool. The third tool is called Loom. Loom is an online screen recording tool, and it does offer advanced video editing. So basically, you're creating a video, but you're creating a video of anything that can be seen on your computer. And there is an account required to create that video, but no account is required to view someone else's video. Some of the features that I like about Loom is that there is a floating speaker bubble. So let's say I wanted to record this presentation that I'm doing right now, you would see my face in a bubble. And on Zoom, I can't always determine where my face shows up. But on Loom, that bubble, if it's ever in the way of what I'm trying to show, I can just click and drag it as I'm recording so that my face gets out of the way of anything else I need people to see. It also has drawing tools. So as you're presenting something on your screen and recording it, you can annotate, you can point, and draw attention that way. And one of the reasons I really like it is as a way to share videos with learners is that it offers the opportunity to provide viewer feedback. So as people are watching the videos that I send them, they can click on emoji reactions to show me if they liked something or whatever. And they can also they can type in comments. So I'll show you that in just a minute. I often use Loom for communicating how to troubleshoot something because in my position as a digital literacy project manager, I get tutors emailing me saying, I got stuck on this training, or how do I do this on this website? And it's so much easier for me to be able to show people instead of type out the explanation. And you might find that as well with learners. Sometimes it's just easier to show than to say or to type. So one use for Loom is troubleshooting or giving instructions or showing how to navigate a site. I will show you this example that I created. I had a tutor email me and ask me, how do I create flashcards using this Flippity site? This was another topic of a digital tools workshop that I did. And he asked me, I want to put audio in them. So I sent him a 1 minute and 26-second video. I gave him a link, just like the link I clicked on to get here. And you can see that he can watch the video. He can also read my transcript on the side here because it creates a transcript. And then there's an opportunity here to put in reactions via emojis or to leave a comment. So I'll just show you what this video looks like. Hi, Tom. You asked about getting word pronunciations into Flippity flashcards, so I thought it might be best to show you. I'm on the Flippity site, and if I click on the Flippity flashcards, if I click on instructions, it will give me a copy of the template, the Google spreadsheet template to copy. So I'm going to click on that link. When the copy opens, they have their example spreadsheet for creating flashcards. You can delete everything that's not, or everything in like rows 3 through 29, for example, here on both sides of the flashcard so that you can start to build your own. But you'll notice up here at the top, there's audio options already built into these flashcards. So you can click on the drop down. They default to English, but if you'd like to do a different language, you can. Or if you'd like to turn the audio off on one side, you could also click none. That might be an appropriate option if you're just going to have photos on one side and then the words on the other side. But adding the audio is fairly easy from here. Just make sure that you've selected English as the language. I don't know for sure if any other template has the audio built in, but the flashcards definitely do. Thanks, hope this helps. All right, so that was one way that I use Loom to screencast something on here. The next example I'll show you is a Spanish class project that my son actually created. Don't tell him I'm showing you. He would not be happy. But he could not be there on the day of the presentation, so he decided to do it using Loom instead.
Step 1. Mix 3 cups of all-purpose flour with 1 tablespoon of baking powder and 2 teaspoons of salt. Step 2. Pour in 1 cup of water and 1/4 cup melted butter. Step 3. Knead the dough and let the dough sit for 10 to 15 minutes in plastic wrap. Once done, make the dough into 12 little balls. Cover the balls of dough with plastic wrap and let them sit for 10 minutes. Roll out balls into 10 to 12 inch diameter circles. Put tortillas on a skillet or comal. Flip tortillas when you see the bubbles on top. Flip again after 30 seconds and then repeat 12 times because you have to make 12 tortillas. Step 6 is eat them or use them for anything else, really, like
Okay. And then the last way that I have used Loom as a teacher is sometimes I will give my students text, but I know that they would really benefit from like the having it read out loud to them. And if there isn't an audio version already of a text, or if there isn't an audio book, I sometimes just create my own using Loom. So all I do is I actually don't show my face on it. I just show the text on my screen, and I create a recording reading it out loud myself. And then when I share the text with the student, I just put a link to my Loom video at the top and say, if you want to hear this read out loud, click on this link. Does the transcript automatically create with the video? It does. I hesitate now because I do have a paid version of Loom, so I don't know if that part is part of the paid version or the free version. So I can check that out for you as well. Any other questions about Loom or ideas that popped into your head about how you might be able to use it?
Was there a particular reason why you upgraded your account?
Yes, because I use it to create trainings, and I'm only limited to 5-minute videos when it's a free version, and some of my trainings are much longer than that. That's a good question.
Did you mention that this was an app that you can get on your phone? Use it on your phone, or do you have to be on a computer? If you mentioned that, I missed it.
I did not mention that, I don't think. And you can use it both ways. So it is an app that you can put on your phone, and I've used it that way to show navigation on my phone. So I just like record what I can see on my phone screen. And I also have it on my computer. All right, if you think of anything else about Loom, feel free to put it in the chat. I'll move on to Padlet. Padlet is a way to share content on a virtual bulletin board. And so they call those bulletin boards Padlets. One thing I like about Padlet is it is a collaborative tool, meaning if I give you a link to it, we could all be in the same Padlet at the same time. There is an account required to create the Padlet, but no account is required to access or contribute to somebody else's Padlet. So like I said, if I share my Padlet with you right now via chat, you could click into it. Even if you don't have a Padlet account, you can be in that Padlet with me, and depending on the permissions or the settings that I have, when I share it, I could also give you permission to add things to the Padlet. I'll show you an example right now. I think some people are probably familiar with Padlet as something that you can use to post images, to post text, things like that. But it is now a way that you can post audio as well, audio files. So this is just a Padlet that I created as a matching activity. So the idea here would be to match the fruit over here to both the word and the pronunciation or the audio file of it. So you'll see here with strawberry. Strawberry. I created an audio file that went with it. Same with banana. Banana. Oops. So one way to use Padlet is like this. It's just a really quick drag and drop matching activity. To create that audio file, I'll show you that now, or really to post anything, it's this plus button in the bottom right corner. I click on that and let me get my Zoom pictures out of the way. So many things that you can do in Padlet. So I could upload a document. I could add a link. I could add a photo or take a photo. I could add an image. But then you see here the plus 12 other options of things that I can do in Padlet. So I'll click on that. And the one that I'm using for the audio is right here, audio recorder. So I just click there. I click on the microphone. Orange. Orange.
Hmm.
And then the audio is embedded, and then I hit publish. And where did it go? It went down here. All right, so now I have my orange, and I noticed that I forgot to type orange there. So if I ever want to edit, I just hit these 3 dots, click edit post, and then I'll add the word orange there as well. Another use for Padlet, you saw down here, I have 3 images, and it could be like a sequencing activity for students. So if I've got these 3 images here, can you put them in order? So in theory, like we pick the pumpkin and then we carve the pumpkin and then we have the jack-o'-lantern. How do I make this a speaking activity? In addition to embedding audio here, you can also add comments on Padlet, and those comments can be either typed or recorded. So I could push here with this little microphone and I could record a comment. So basically I could ask a learner to tell me the story of these 3 images in a row. So we could click here and say, she is picking a pumpkin, for example. And then I could add the caption here as an oral caption. So that's a way to make it a speaking activity for a learner. I could also make it a listening activity for a learner, and I could maybe just do one audio recording like this where I tell the story. First, she picks the pumpkin, then she carves the pumpkin, then she has a jack-o'-lantern on her porch, and then I ask the student to put the images in the right sequence. In case you're curious, you can find images online and then just copy and paste them in here. One of the other options in Padlet in the plus 12 is an AI feature called I Can't Draw. And so I tell it what I want it to draw me. So I could say, if we wanted one even before this, I could say gardener planting pumpkin seeds. I make no promises. It's not perfect yet what it actually comes up with, and it might take a while as well. All right, so I don't see any seeds. This person has 3 hands. So you would have to maybe like go back and revise your prompt to get exactly what you want, but it is a nice way, a nice feature in Padlet, I think, to add some images without having to go outside of Padlet to search for them. So again, as a teacher, as a tutor or an instructor, you could create the Padlet. You could share that link with the student, and then they could come into your Padlet and either do the activity that you've designed or create the content, right? Create the recordings to put on here by just clicking on the plus and posting something. They do not need to have an account as long as you have the Padlet account and you've created the Padlet to begin with. Padlet is free if you use audio. Yes. How do students access the Padlet? I can show you that. So Right up here, kind of hard to see, is the little sharing icon. So it's that arrow that goes whoosh like that. And if I click on that, I know I'm in the right place because it says share at the top. I can give my visitors permissions. So right now, if I shared this link with you, you all would have writer permission, meaning that you can write new posts. I could just allow you to comment on whatever has been posted before. I could just have you read it or no access. Once I've set that, then I can copy this link here. Or I could also share it as a QR code. So if I just copy that link, I can share it with you, with learners, and you're all invited into my Padlet. I put it in the chat if you'd like to try. Any other questions or uses you can see for Padlet right now for listening, speaking, or reading fluency? Lisa, Lori, can you explain your question? I'm not sure that I understand. A remote area community hotspot.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can. Okay. My students are not allowed to have cell phones or computers or any kind of internet access. So we have something that we call a Rachel. It's a remote area community hotspot for education and learning, and things, certain sites, like for example, we had, what's we've had certain websites, educational websites, put on this Rachel for the students to use. And I was just wondering if Padlet could be put on there. I could create matching activities or speaking and listening activities with it and have the students get extra practice with that.
I had to mute. There was a train going by. I'm sorry, but I heard everything you said. So my guess is there might be some barriers to that, just because if you give students permission to be a writer, like I just showed you, they do have access to outside of Padlet, like they have access to the internet when they use those posting tools. And so I'm not sure exactly how the criteria works for being able to put something on Rachel. If you were just to create a Padlet and give them like reader permission, and they couldn't post, then they could just do a listening activity that you've designed. They could hear the recordings that you've created, and they wouldn't be able to post. So it's a little more secure that way. Okay, if there aren't any other questions, I'm going to move on to Google Read Along. This is the tool that's newest to me. Google's text-to-speech and voice recognition technologies are used, and they listen and respond as you read out loud. So there are books that you can read, and Google Read Along tells you if you're doing a good job, if you inaccurately decoded a word, or if you mispronounced a word, it will give you that feedback. Couple of things I need you to know is, number one, it is designed for children. So there is a character that gives you this feedback. Her name is Dia, and she is a child herself. And when you set up an account, Dia will ask you, what language do you want your children to be able to read in? So she's talking to you as if you're a parent when you're setting up this account. So if you can get over that, it can be a useful tool. You also need to know that it's still in beta testing, meaning that Google's seeking your feedback when it's not perfect. And it isn't perfect, and I'll show you an example of that in just a minute. But it's still pretty darn cool. On the computer, if you use it, you must be connected to the internet and you have to use a valid Google account to sign in. If you use it on a phone, it's only available currently on Android phones. So if you have an iPhone and you go to the App Store, you can't find it. But so after the initial download, the app works without Wi-Fi and it doesn't require cellular data. Okay, so I will show you Google Read Along. This is Dia. She helps you.
Pick a story from these to read today.
And you can see it is linked to my Google account, but it does give you kind of a new profile picture. Mine is this, I think it's a gorilla up here. And it is an incentivized app. So I get stars for how much I read and how well I read. And then I have my reading selections here. They're grouped by category. They're also labeled by level. So if you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, this blue 1. So those are the easiest texts. And if I scroll down to a different category, like for example, not animals. I'm not seeing any other levels besides 1. Here we go. Under math and science, there's a level 2 in green. And I believe I've seen a level 3 offered to me too. There it is. I've just started with this app. I haven't done enough research on this app to know what level 1, 2, and 3 are based on, like what readability scale Google uses. I will tell you in my personal opinion that I was a little bit surprised when I clicked on a level 1 story at how challenging it seemed to read. So just know that, and I will demo for you how this works with the voice recognition. Let's do a story.
Let's read. The letter A story.
Apple,
Excellent, you are reading really well.
axe,
Very good. Read this out loud. Alligator.
alligator,
Well done, you got that. Astronaut.
astronaut,
Annie.
Annie,
You read well.
Annie, axe,
Very good.
Annie eats an apple.
Great reading, that was fast.
Annie sees a hungry alligator.
Fantastic. Wonderful, you finished the story. That was fast, keep it up. To finish 10 minutes of reading today, read for 9 more minutes. Wow, look at all those stars you got.
Okay, so I purposely waited for a while to show you that if you do pause in your reading, she will prompt you. She'll say, click on a word if you don't know how to say it. She will also tell you to get reading. The other thing I wanted you to see was that part that it isn't perfect. So in a phonics story about the sound ah, she does pronounce alligator as alligator, but it doesn't mark me wrong when I say alligator as I'm reading. I can tell when it's marking me wrong because it has a dashed red line under the word. And sometimes, and not always because it's not perfect, sometimes she'll stop and she'll make me read it again if I don't decode or pronounce the word correctly. You could see at the end I said hungry instead of angry, and it underlined it, but it accepted it, and we went on. So it may be a case where you want to coach learners. When it underlines it in red, you got something wrong. And so even if she doesn't say that you got it wrong, you can click on it to hear the correct pronunciation, and then you can read it again. The last tool I'm going to tell you about is a bonus tool. It wasn't on my list, but I feel like since Google is sort of a front runner in voice recognition and feedback from that voice recognition, you should know about Google Pronounce if you don't already know about it. So when you are logged into your Google account and you go to an internet browser, I usually do this with Chrome just because that's Google's internet browser, but I believe it works with others as long as you're logged into your Google account. You can just put into the search engine, the search bar, how do you say or how do you pronounce plus a word. And you will get something like this as a result. So I typed in how to say squirrel, which is one of the hardest words in the English language, I think, to pronounce. And when you do this, Google Pronounce will show you something that looks like this. So I can click on the speaker icon and I can hear that word pronounced for me. I can also click on the mouth and hear that word pronounced for me. Let's just go to the actual Google Pronounce so that you can see how this works.
Squirrel. Squirrel.
I can change from American to British pronunciation if I want.
Squirrel.
We'll go back to American. I can slow it down by clicking here.
Squirrel.
And then I can also practice. So I can try to pronounce this word and Google will give me feedback. For some reason, it never likes the way I pronounce squirrel. So I'll show you what that could look like. Squirrel. So it says, sounds like you said squirrel. And I should really say "ul" instead of just "ul" at the end. So that's how it's telling me to practice to improve. And this now is a recording of me saying it. Squirrel. So I'll try one more time, see if it likes it. Squirrel. Okay, it liked it that time. So it says, good job. You can do this with any word. For example, imagination. So you see, I put in, how do you say imagination? I'm logged into my Google account. So it will give me this pronunciation feedback here. I hope at least one of these tools inspired you to think about how you could use digital tools for teaching listening, speaking, and reading fluency. Just a look ahead, next month is November, and I will be bringing back the topic AI text levelers. So this is using generative AI tools to generate a reading text at an appropriate level for learners. I encourage you to visit our tutor training page to sign up for that workshop and any others you see. Thank you so much.